Hello, Betty McKnit here. I am here on day 14 of the 6-day Supernova blanket. You can see it there behind me. TikTok can't see it, but I'll grab it in a second for you all. TikTok. I measured the blanket today. This is I think I already said the 14th day that I'm working on it. I think I'm going to finish it up tonight. I have one single crochet round and I have to put a border on it. So one round has been taking me about an hour. The last single crochet round took me about 45 minutes. So, and then the border round usually takes a little bit longer. I think I know what I'm going to do. But I'm still thinking. But anyways, this has been a really fun project. I have been using Lion Brand Mandala bonus bundle in the color Chewy. This is how much I have left of my third skein of this. I think I'll probably use quite a bit of it. If not almost the whole thing, I would say. And I have also been working with Scented Stitches aromatherapy stitch balm, which is a product I really, really love. I found it at H&H at the conference, the Craft Guild conference, and it is an aromatherapy balm. You put it on your finger where you tension the yarn, and as you work, the yarn picks up the oils that and the scent of this, and it smells amazing. I'm using Calm for this one, and they have 3 other scents. Hold on, I should have got these out before I started. Cheer, Power, and Confidence. There they are. And there's a link in those in my link tree. And if you're on YouTube, it will be in the description of the video. So here we go. Let's do it. Let's just get right to it. It's Sunday night, and it's also Halloween weekend, I guess, if that's a thing. Halloween weekend. Is it Halloween weekend? Is that a thing? I'm pretty sure it is. Just another normal day for me. Here we go. Here's the blanket. I measured it today. It is 68 inches across. So I'm feeling like that's a good amount. Oh, I just pulled out a couple of stitches. I feel like that's a good amount. If I had another skein of yarn and I was not doing this on live, I might do another repeat, but I'm not going to. I'm going to finish it off tonight. It's time for this to be done. It's been real and it's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun. No, it's been really fun. And I know that there are people who have been crocheting along with me the entire time. And I know once I clean up the replays and get them all tagged and chaptered out and stuff like that, then I know that there will be people that will go ahead and crochet the entire thing along with me down the line. So let me go ahead and put this up on up top, and I will get started. All right. How's that looking? Okay, if you're watching on TikTok, make sure you, hello, Andrew, make sure you tap the screen and send me lots of likes, and that will push the video out onto other people's pages and help me get lots and lots of views. And click the arrow to share, copy the link, even if you just copy the link and you don't really actually send it to anyone, I guess TikTok counts that as a share. I don't know. The algorithm isn't that smart, apparently. I don't really know. Oh, I already did it. Thank you for following. I should do what Bad Bitch Crochet does and put a little tag that says likes, a likes goal. Because I noticed they get a lot of likes and they put a goal for how many likes they want. So I want a lot of likes. All right, so here we go. This is my last round 4, and we're going to single crochet in each stitch around. Let's see, it's 7:26. I'll just make a note of the time. That's the round, is single crochet in each stitch around, and then 3 in each chain 3 space at the peak. So you don't really have to count, but I do believe that the pattern gives counts for those of you that need to count. Let me check. I'll check them. Thank you for sharing the live, Andrew. So Andrew, I want to hear how you're doing. I know you said briefly last night that you were fine, but I want to hear what you're crocheting. What's happening? What's going on with you? Are you have you been able to pick up a project? Are you still without your Crojo? What's going on? I've been really worried about this. We can't have Andrew crochets with no Crojo. Oh, you finally got it this morning. You're making a ripple Afghan. Wonderful. That's really wonderful. I'm so glad to hear it. I hope that really helps you find the joy again in crochet. Hello, Adrian. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Knitter from, I want to say Michigan. It's testing your patience. Well, you got it. You can do it. You knit too much this weekend. Are you okay? Did you hurt yourself? Why is your live black? What do you mean? My screen is black? Okay. Donna, my screen's fine for everyone else, so maybe you need to check your settings, my dear. Yeah, but how does knitting continental make your fingertips hurt? Yeah, it's Donna Brown. You mean like how I do? Why does it make your fingertips hurt, though? My fingertips don't hurt. What am I doing? You need to toughen your hands. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 54. You're working with rocket metal needles. Okay, well, that should do it. Should it really be 54? Should it be 56? I still only got 54. Could have to do with what type of yarn are you working with? Is it your knuckles? Is it the joints? Or is it like abrasive? You got so much done on your wool poncho. Well, there you go. Well, generally, I feel like if you end up with a lot of pain or pain after pads of the thumb and index fingers, okay. Nothing a good callus won't fix. Well, there you go. Spoken like a dancer. Fiber seed wool yarn and a worsted weight. Okay, that sounds nice. Man, I haven't knit anything in a while. I miss knitting. Maybe I'll knit something on my trip. Still haven't decided what I'm taking to work on my trip. I'm ready to start doing hats and scarves, but it's been so hot. I mean, what I need a hat and scarf for, you know? Maybe I'll do something like a shrug or something like that, lightweight that I can throw on. Oh, wait, I didn't count. Okay, so I had 56 on that one, so I don't know what I did wrong over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. Something went askew. I've got one more round after this. Thank you. This is the last round of the pattern, and then I'm going to do a border round. But I did have some mistakes, couple mistakes. I noticed on the last couple rounds, so I don't know how I ended up with 54 when it should be 56. Oops. Thank you so much. Yeah, I don't really like I don't have to be perfect. Like I don't really have if I weren't doing it on a video and then people would be following along, I wouldn't care, wouldn't even notice. I would just keep going. I swear I would be. Are all your clusters 3? I did check that. That's probably wait a minute. Yep. Oh no, that's not oh my goodness. Yep, they all have 3. I don't know what I did. I probably just miscounted, even though I counted it twice. But I'm here on a live, so it's fine. It's just when I make mistakes on videos, they live on forever. Some poor soul is going to come along in 3 years and be like, my blanket came out wrong because you made a mistake on your video. Wah. Oh well. I think I'm going to do I did this on the Superstar Ridgy Didge, um, which I didn't do on TikTok at all, but I didn't crochet it live at all. I did it completely off camera. Well, that's not accurate actually. I think I started it when I was doing the Ridgy Didge baby blanket crochet along, and we were doing the lovies and the different loveys. So I started it as the Ridgy Didge Lovey, Superstar Lovey. And then after that challenge was over, I continued it into a blanket. And I posted that recently on my Facebook page. And it's like orange and sage green and peach and white. And for whatever reason, the orange looked really red, and everybody thought it was a Christmas blanket. Um, but the edge I did on that, it's really simple, and I think it looked really nice. Is 333 and then skip 2 single crochet around. And I think I have plenty of yarn to do it, so I think I'm going to try it on this. I wanted to do something different, but there's only so many, like, I can only come up with so many different ideas. I'm just not in the mood to cook up something really new. I guess this time I was thinking maybe I could do it with half double crochet or something like that, but I decided just to keep it simple. So it'll have the same border as the Superstar Ridgy Didge. I mean, unless I change my mind before the end of this round. But I just really wanted to keep it simple. And then on the star, I did, oh, wait a minute. I did a couple of stars recently where I did like a real simple picot edge, but I think I used that already on the Sweetheart star. So I did that. I mean, I guess I could do the same border that I put on the Lovey, the Superstar Lovey. And I think that starts with the 333 and then skip 2. And then I think it has a second round. Yeah, I think it has a second round of front post single crochet into those 333. Maybe I'll do that. It starts off with the 333 anyways, but then it has the single crochet round. Amanda says, hi, Beth, caught up to you last night. I'll have a couple of extra repeats. Oh, you're going to keep going? I thought about it. I went online and I was looking at the yarn. I was almost ordered more last night after the call. Mine's going to be about 70 inches. So you want to repeat all the colors. Okay. Well, if I remember correctly, your blanket was just a little bit smaller than mine. I usually make a throw blanket about 50 by 60. That's like my throw size. And then the next size up I'll do is usually like 60 by 72. And I think my man blanket was 70 by 80. So this one is close to 70 inches across. It's a different shape than a rectangle blanket, you know, so I don't know, for whatever reason, I think because they're They are, you know, more round. They're just as wide as they are long. And it has all those points. They don't look as big. It's for a shortish person. I'd like her to be able to use it on her bed if she wants. They look really beautiful laid out on the bed. I have my 6-day star blanket on the extra bed in my house. Happens to be a king size bed, and I save that for my guests. And I have the 6-day star blanket on it, and it's like really super special. Looks really nice. When I moved in here, I was like, I want to have a 6-day blanket on every bed in the house. Well, I have I have reached that goal and then some. Some of them are starting to, like my favorite of the tea cakes when they first came out was the vanilla bean. So I have a couple blankets that I made with vanilla bean, and they are actually starting to look kind of ratty because I have loved them very well. I've actually used them, you know. So they're actually in the living room on the couches. And I've used them a lot. And I probably have more than enough yarn to replace them if I wanted to. The vanilla bean colors are kind of similar to these colors, actually. I didn't see where you guys were talking about the weather. And Adrian is saying the weather has turned for the cold. It's 40 degrees and rainy. It was in the 80s today here. I'm in North Carolina also, Wanda. And it's been really, really beautiful. But I have seen the ducks in their formations flying south a lot lately. A lot. So I think it's going to start getting cold here pretty soon. Looks like Joann's and Lion Brand Yarn have restocked their bonus bundles. which is nice. We don't have to worry about not being able to get the yarn anymore. They're saying we could have a snow rain mix Wednesday in central PA. Oh my goodness. Kidding me. I haven't even checked the weather in New York where I'm going. But I was telling my friend the other day, I was like, I don't think I have a coat. She was like, you better get one. Usually when I go away and I leave this time of year, if I leave for any length of time, I have to leave my water running and all of that in case it freezes. But I don't think I'm going to have to worry about that this time. Like, it is so hot in my house right now. I have one of those houses. I have cathedral ceilings, so I have one of those houses that's just like, it just holds the heat, you know? It gets really hot in here. The last time I went away, I forgot to leave the AC on, and I came back and it was like, it was so warm in here. Good thing I was only gone for like 3 days. Excuse me. I can't believe it is already almost November. And next week we turn our clocks back. It's going to be so awesome. Get that extra hour of sleep. I don't know why I just went around in a circle like that. Okay. Woohoo! You didn't miss me. I'm here. This is hopefully the last night I'm going to be working on this. I want to finish it up tonight. This is a lot of blanket. I wish I had gotten my nails done when I was in Virginia Beach last week. I wish I had gotten a fill on these, because I know I'm not going to do it while I'm up there. I don't know, maybe I will. I could go to my old nail salon. But I went up to Virginia Beach last Thursday, I think it was. My radio in my car broke like a year and a half ago, and I had taken it in to get repaired, get an estimate on it, and they were like, oh, this is under warranty, we'll order you a new one and we'll call you back. And then they never called me back. And then I kept calling and calling and calling, and they were like, not giving me any answers or whatever. And then they finally said, sorry, it's not under warranty anymore. And I was like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. And they said they're not giving us any new ones. And I tried to fight with them a little bit because I think they did a little flip-flop on me. I think it was under warranty, and then they decided they weren't going to honor their warranty, and they changed it. And I could not get anyone to help me with that. So I called another dealer, and they were like, we can give you a refurbished one for $1,500. And I was like, that's too much. That's a lot. But I don't like driving up the road with no, I'm like looking at my phone the whole time for directions because the radio with the display doesn't come up. It just sits there. And so finally they said, just take it to a third party to have it fixed, or to have a custom put in. Like, you could do that for less than what we're offering you a refurbished one for. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll do that. So I went to, one of those car stereo places, and they took it out and they sent it away and had it repaired. They fixed it and they put it back in, and it still cost me $900, which I think is insanely ridiculous. But it has a 1-year warranty on it now. So it's fixed. It has a 1-year warranty on it now. And I got my radio and I got my backup camera and have all the good stuff. So it is what it is. But anyways, I went up there to, hold on, let me stop just 1 second and talk about this, because I must have been really tired when I did this, but these holes are kind of big. So when they look like that, I just work into the space. 1, 2, 3. But listen, if you do that, you're working in place of this stitch right here. So only do 2 on top of this cluster. Okay, because this takes the place of working that stitch. All right, and I had somebody working on the granny square or the great granny or something, and they ended up with an extra stitch. And it's because that's what they were doing. They were going 1, 2, 3, and then trying to go 1, 2, 3 over here. But you can't. That if you work in between, then you're actually, this takes the place of that. Anyways, my car radio, they called me to go up to, you know, that it was done. So I drove all the way up there in a hurry, and I took my boots. I have these Doc Marten boots that I've been wanting to wear really badly, and they're a little too tight on my chubby feet. And so I wanted to have them stretched out. And so I took them up with me, took them to the shoe place. I did that. And what else did I do when I was up there? I got my car washed. I went to Michael's to get some Christmas tree ornaments because I want to make a little crochet pattern, a little crochet Christmas tree ornament this year. And what else did I get at Michael's? Oh, I bought some of their macchiato cakes. Just because it, like, I don't know, it hurts my soul to go into a Michael's and not buy any yarn. So I bought some, even though I'm just not feeling any love for these yarns and these patterns and what have you. Things that are, you know, all the different Karen cakes that they have. Just give us the tea cakes. That's what I want. I like the tea cakes. So I did those things and placed the radio, did the car wash, and then I was going to get my nails done, and I was just feeling a little shaky and not real great. So I went into a juice place, and by the time I was ordering my smoothie, I was like just shaking and not feeling really great. And it was like 3 or 4 o'clock. It was getting late. And I just decided, you know what? I don't feel up to getting my nails done right now. And I had this little voice that was like, you're going to regret it because you're going to want to get your nails done before you go on your trip. But I was like, you know what, little voice? I said, I'm not feeling great. So I'm going home. And I went home. And that's what I did. Oh, and I dropped off the shoes. That was the other thing. My shoes, they said I could pick them up yesterday. So I think I'm just going to grab them on my way out of town. And I don't really know if I want to grab my shoes on the way out of town and get my nails done. Oh, the other thing that happened was that morning, because I knew I was going to be out of the house all day, so I wanted to close the windows. And when I was closing the windows, I bent all these fingers on the, I could feel them all kind of tearing underneath. When I did it, I kind of caught them all on the window ledge, and so they were a little bit sore, and I thought I probably don't want to go get my nails done when they feel like this because my nails are super thin. Anyways, that's what's going on with me. That's what's happening. I gotta go get my nails done at some point. Almost there. Thanks for following. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, remember if you work into these spaces, you only work these 2 double crochet. 1, 2. Thank you. Almost there. This is my last peek. pattern is a yarn eater when you get to this stage. Okay. Let me pause. Let's just have a moment of celebration for completing the last round of the blanket. This is how much is left. Woohoo, yeah. So I think there's more than half of this bonus bundle left. So I think it will be more than enough to do the edge that I would like to do. I don't think I'm going to have any yarn chicken problems. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Facebook user. Hi, Ang Beglin. Yes, it's the 6-day Supernova. It's on my website, bettymcknit.com. Okay, so the edge that I'm going to do is 3 3 3, so 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet, and so I started it with a chain 3, 2 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet, and you want it to land in the valley, in the center of the valley, and on the peak. So you might have to fudge your skips a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to skip 2 single crochet, skip 2, and do it again, and that's going to be my first edge round. 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1. It's going to take forever. We're gonna be here forever. So I might not finish tonight if I decide to do the second round, which I think I might, because I think it would look really nice. Okay, and then skip 2 single crochet, skip 2 3 3 3, and then we're just going to want to watch as we get closer to make sure, because I want to land in the peak with the 3 3 3. So we'll see if it works. If it's going to be a pain in the butt, I'm not going to do it. I'll take it out and I'll think of something else to do. Three, 3 3, skip 2 single crochet, skip 2 3 3 3. This isn't on the Supernova pattern on my site. The pattern on my site just gives reverse single crochet. I have seen people do like a lot of fancy borders on their star blankets and on their 6-day kid blankets, which I love. But for me, I kind of like it to match the rest of the blanket. So I personally, I don't always like to introduce a lot of new things, but sometimes I do. It just depends. But I like this because it matches the peaks. I probably got the idea from one of Edie Eckman's books. Edie Eckman has these incredible, she's an incredible teacher and designer for one, but she has these really great books for crochet edgings. One of them is called Around the Corner Crochet Borders, and I think the other one is called Every Which Way Crochet Borders. And I took her class one time at the Crochet Guild of America, and it was a really great class. She's a top notch teacher. She doesn't like you to talk or anything during her class. You're not there to sit there and talk with your friends and stuff. She will ask you to be quiet, which at first I was a little bit offended by, but then I was like, if I were sitting here and somebody was talking and I was not getting my money's worth, I would be mad. Okay, so it worked out perfectly. Look at that. So now I'm going to 333. Well, I'm just going to skip 1 and 333 because that will put me in the center. And I'm going around, I'm going up and over a point here, so it's okay to not skip as many. Okay, and since I only skipped 1 here, I'm just going to skip 1 again. And then, oops, it should be single crochet. And then skip 2. 333. Whoops. Chewy bonus bundle drink. Yes, we had a drinking game where if I said bonus bundle or Chewy, you had to drink. And then if I complained about pulling from the outside of the skein, you had to do a shot. But I'm no longer pulling from the outside. I'm pulling from the inside. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. But hey, if you want to take your shots, take your shots. I won't stop you. Let's take a moment to lay it down and admire it. What do y'all think of it? It's just okay. Well, don't everybody jump in at once. Maybe it's just meh. Maybe no one likes it. Pat Jacobs, I started a new star blanket when you started your supernova. I got to round 7 after the setup route and realized I made a mistake. My valleys and peaks were uneven. Frogging back to the setup. Oh boy. Well, that's what happens if you work like I do and you don't count and you just go by what you remember, you know. Aloha off D Hook. Thank you very much, Lana. Yes, it continues the theme. That's a good way of putting it. I like when it, Lona, okay. I like when it reflects the rest of the blanket. Working on my doodad still. Okay. I don't know what that is, but all right. Hi, Tracy. It is Lion Brand Mandala bonus bundle in the color Chewy. And if you check the poll, it has all the details of everything I'm doing. It's a Furls Odyssey hook. Unfortunately, they're no longer available. They had their last restock the other day and can't get it anymore. Okay, so I had to fudge my skip down here. Oh no, I didn't. It worked out just exactly right. So far, so good. That I'm skipping 2 in between, with the exception of the peak where I only skipped 1. Thank you for the heart. Okay, I'm at the peak, so I'm just going to skip one. And skipping one. Oh, thank you. Now, can you remind me, please? Are you in Hawaii? You said aloha. Hi, Brienne. Two points down, 12 to go. Okay, my skips didn't work out exactly right, but remember I had some mistakes. So I'm not sure what exactly is going on, but I want to make sure I have the same number, if I'm fudging skips, that I have the same number of peaks on each side. So I have 1, 2, 3 peaks over here, 1, 2, 3. So it looks like I'm going to have to skip 3 to get there. Okay. I don't know why that happened. Is that, yeah, that's the stitch I'm working into, is the one right between the two double crochet 3 together. So Nancy says, I have been working on small projects for a homeless center, scarves, hats, gloves, and shawls. Would like to teach myself how to knit. Do you recommend a site? Yes, I recommend the course that's in my membership community, and it's called Crocheters Learn to Knit. And it is a knitting class, a knitting course specifically designed for crocheters, and it utilizes the skills that you already have as a crocheter. And so rather than teaching you how to work back and forth and do garter stitch, I start you off with a circular needle, and I have you picking up into a chain. And by the end of the class, you have a little baby hat. You make a baby hat, and I teach you all the skills that you need. I just do them in a little bit different order that will, it makes a little bit more sense to crocheters. Because I had a few crocheters in my little group that were saying, I've tried to knit, but I just couldn't get it. I can't get the hang of 2 needles, da 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 da. You know, all the things crocheters say. Why they can't get knitting. I'd also like to do a class called Knitters Learn Crochet and kind of do the same thing, but in reverse. Because when I was at H&H, there were a lot of people there that were like, oh, you do crochet. We don't do that. We're going to have to learn. I mean, other than my own class, I don't know really what to recommend other than, you know, search YouTube, but they're all going to show you how to cast on using the long tail method or making a half hitch on your needle. And personally, I think casting on is a lot more difficult than actual knitting. So I think a lot of people get kind of hung up with casting on. Are you doing 1 or 2, 3, 3, 3 between single crochets? Sometimes it looks like 1. No, are you doing 1, 2, or 3? Do you mean skipping? So sometimes I've had to skip. I'm skipping 2, but there have been a couple places where I have to fudge because I want it to land in the center of the valley and then in the peak. Is that your question? Are you doing 1? And then at the peaks, I'm skipping 1 on each side. I'm skipping 1 after and then before the single crochet. And then here, I don't know why, but I had to skip 3 to make it work. And then the rest of them have been skipping 2, and then I'm at the peak, so I'm going to skip 1. I do both, but I was at a market today where people say that some crocheted but don't get knitting, and some knit and don't get crochet. Yep. Aw, thank you for saying that. I used to teach yoga. I have a yoga voice. I've been meaning to go back into that course too and maybe revisit some of the video that I did. So maybe I'll run it live again and redo the video, because if I remember right, that was like one of the first things I did in my membership community, and I struggled with the video and with the content. a little bit. I was doing it over Zoom, and I would go back and watch the video, and it would be like I would be there crocheting on video, and somebody would be going in the Zoom call, and the video would jump over to them, and then we'd just be sitting there looking at them, watching the screen, and not looking at my hands doing the crochet. So probably needs a revisit. I haven't been in there to check it out in a while. And I haven't marketed it. So maybe I'll remarket it and kind of revisit it. One or two peaks between single crochet. I'm doing 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet, and then skip 2, single crochet. Yeah, I'm not sure what your question is asking. It's 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet, skip 2, single crochet, skip 2. Yeah, Nancy, are you in my are you, and now I have to skip 3 down here again. I'm not sure why. We worked out on some of them, but on others I had to skip 3 to make it work. Nancy, are you in the membership community? Are you in the Betty McKnitiverse? You can join over there and go through it, go through the replays from the last time I did it live. I mean, I have it like all set up like a course. But I have been wanting to knit more. There goes my overhead. Let's see if it comes back. Just going to take a little break. Let my camera cool down. Do my hands. Oh, you'll get it. It's super easy. It's not that complicated. You'll get it. I really feel something up in here tonight. See, y'all, I'm taking care of myself. I'm going to reward myself with a little black licorice. I should finish my licorice before I put my head back like that. There we go. Come on. I don't want to stand up. Yep, it's true. Some crochet people don't get knitting, and knitting people don't get crochet. And then there's also this weird kind of hierarchical thing where sometimes knitters think that knitting is better than crochet for some reason. Knitters are more likely to, I won't say more likely, but you know, when you're crocheting a blanket, you're not going to use, you know, expensive hand dyed wool yarn. You're going to most likely use a cheaper acrylic yarn that you find in, you know, big box stores, more so than like an indie dyer kind of thing because of the cost, you know. So that's one thing, the materials. There we go. Okay. And you know, some people think that knitting is more difficult than crochet, which I agree with. I also think crochet is a little bit more flexible and easier to adapt than knitting because you're only working with one live stitch at a time. When you're knitting something, you have a row of live stitches. So you really have to do things that a lot of crocheters don't like to do, which is check your gauge, do a gauge swatch, measure, plan ahead, you know, plan it all out. And so it does take a little bit more, sometimes a little bit more, you know, planning and stamina and tolerating the ripping out and the measuring and all of that. I think knitting takes longer than crochet. That may not be true for everybody, but I think crochet is, there's more like instant gratification there. So I don't know. I think that people use all those things to say like, well, my craft that I'm doing is more difficult, so I'm better than people who, you know, choose to, you know, do a different craft or don't, whatever. Who knows? what people are thinking, but there is this like, crochet is better. No, knitting is better. And I don't say the C word kind of thing. I also think that crochet has experienced a kind of revival a few years ago. Or maybe it always was something that people were excited about, but I just wasn't because I was just a knitter for a while. I always, I was for a while just only knitting. I was just more interested in doing that. My mother always said, you can crochet everything you can knit. You cannot knit everything in crochet. Well, I think that if you really wanted to, you could knit. Like one of my early patterns was this granny square pattern, basic granny square Afghan, but it looked like the one on True Blood. On that season, I think it was season 2 of True Blood, when the character Lafayette, the vampires had him in the dungeon, and then they let him go, and he came home and he was traumatized, and he wrapped himself up in this crochet granny square Afghan. And I was in this Ravelry knitting group, and people were like going crazy over it. And I was like, oh, it's crochet. It's just your basic 5-round granny square. And people were like, well, for those of us who don't know what that means, like, what the heck? Can you write it up? So I was like, all right, I'll write it up. And so I did that, and people were making that for a while. That was TV show was kind of popular, and I was like promoting it in these Ravelry, True Blood Ravelry groups. Okay. And then somebody said, well, I don't crochet. Can you make a knitted version? So I was like, let me see if I can make a knitted granny square. So I did it. I designed a knitted granny square, and I worked on it a lot. I worked on it for a long time, trying to get that knitted thing to look like a granny, just like a granny square. And I did it. It does. It looks just like a granny square. But at the end of the day, I never published it because I thought, this is stupid. Why would you knit this? It would be so much easier just to crochet it. So I just, at the end of the day, I just felt like it was just stupid. It was just for, even if somebody really was not capable of learning crochet, they would not enjoy knitting this thing. It was just like, it wasn't enjoyable. And I think I gave it to a couple people to like test it out, and they were like, WTF, this, I don't understand this at all. So it was just like really convoluted. And I think, I think that you probably could knit everything that's crocheted if you wanted to. You could knit this blanket that I'm working on, but it would be so convoluted. It would just be easier just to learn crochet. Like if you want to make something that badly, if you see something that's crocheted and you want to make it that badly, learn how to crochet and make it. Don't be like, where's the knitted version? Like I have somebody that keeps saying, I'm still waiting for the knitted version of the 6-day kid blanket. Like, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do that. If you want to make the 6-day kid blanket that badly and you already know how to knit, learn how to crochet. It's not that hard. and make it, you know? It's like people that don't want to make the effort to read a pattern, and they say, "Oh, well, I can't read patterns. Make me a video." And I do respect that there are different learning styles, and people have different ways of learning things, but I also think that this where's the video is it like it gets annoying when I've spent a year working on writing a pattern and someone just wants the video. Um, it's like, really? Oh, I can't read that. Did you even try to read it? Like, try reading it first. I'm crocheting a crocheted shawl with pockets. Nice. Hi, thanks for following. It is going to be about 70 inches across. Amanda says, I learned to knit from my mom. He used to do beautiful work. I haven't knitted since high school. Grandma crocheted, and I always regret not learning from her, but I taught myself in the end. Oh, yeah, this is like, um, I mean, all of my grandparents died pretty young, with the exception of my mom's dad, who died in his early 80s, but all the rest of them died in their 60s. And both of my grandmothers crocheted, and my dad's mother also knitted. So she was the one that taught me how to knit, but it didn't really stick. But I went back and re-taught myself at a later time. But that's like one of my only connections to her. I didn't. I don't have. I don't have anything from her that she gave me, or she did. She did give me a blanket, but it got ruined. Um, so I had to throw it away, and that always made me sad. Um, yeah. So crochet is like my one of my only connections to her and to my mom's mom. Was a crocheter as well, and she would make these. I think she's the reason I'm a designer. She would make these huge, like, pineapple stitch doilies and like doll clothes and stuff. And um she would just my mom said she doesn't use patterns. She just makes it up as she's going along. And I was just like, whoa, what? Like, how exactly how does she do that? And my mom was like, I don't know, I always have to use a pattern, but she doesn't use patterns. She just does it. And it was really something, the work that she did. But I don't have anything from her. Nancy says, I really just want to challenge myself. My grandma was proficient in all fiber arts. She embroidered quilts and paired end table and dress. Wow. That's cool. Yeah, I think like a lot of the ladies in my membership community, they're always like, of course, they're like 6-day kid blanket aficionados, like they've all made all the 6-day stuff, but they are always looking for like new and challenging projects, things that will stimulate them and up level their skills. And, they're just like always wanting to grow and do more stuff. It's really a nice group of people. Last year at the beginning of the year, I have these meetings, and I call them self-care crochet meetings or self-care check-ins. And in the beginning of the year, at one of those meetings, we set intentions for the year. And some of the intentions were things like, I want to think of myself as an artist, and just really cool stuff like that. A really supportive kind of group, and we keep checking in with those intentions and see like how are things going. And we talk a lot about gift giving too, and doing things, crocheting for ourselves, because that's something a lot of us don't do. Milby, do you have any tips to help hand cramps? Recently fallen in love with crochet, but it kills my hands after a while. Okay, well, that's a really good question. First of all, if you have pain from crochet, you should stop. You have to stop. Do not continue to crochet with pain. Stop and take breaks often. Now, a lot of the time when people are first start out with crochet, hey Lona, you're on TikTok. So I have people over on YouTube as well. So I'm on YouTube and I'm in my Facebook group. So I'm on multiple platforms. So if you hear me responding to something that you don't see, it's I'm on those other. Yeah, I have multiple platforms going right now. But yeah, somebody's asking about hands. So I actually am a somatic movement, registered somatic movement therapist and educator. So I feel like like I'm not a hand doctor or a physical therapist, but I do feel like I have some a place to speak from with this. But I'm not like a lot of the people I see giving advice about crochet are people that have been injured, and they're like giving me advice that they got from their doctors. So I will just say, going back to you, because you're new, I will just say a lot of the time when we first start crocheting, we think that the work has to be really tight or it's just going to fall apart. And I'm here to tell you that it does not have to be tight. And one of the ways you can protect your hands and protect your body is to be able to relax your hands. So you will only ever see me using ergonomic hooks. I will not use a hook. Like, do I even have a hook here? I have this one in here. I don't know what I was doing with this. This is supposedly an ergonomic hook. It's not a bad one, but for me, I need my hand to be a little bit more open, and I need a little bit of weight. So this is my favorite hook for whatever reason. The weight allows me to keep my hand really nice and loose. So and also I use my fingers a lot. So using your fingers instead of, like gripping, like, with a death grip, is going to cause you a lot of pain. The other thing is tensioning. People do a lot of weird things with their hands. So, um, one thing I see a lot is, oh, somebody told me I was holding my crochet wrong. They told me I'm wrong. How dare they tell me I'm wrong? However it works for you is the best way to do it, whatever works for you. Well, then on the flip side of that, I'll say, why didn't somebody tell me that I would injure my hand if I did it like this? Well, because you didn't want to be told you were doing it wrong. So there is like a right way to hold your hook and your yarn, and that is a way that is not going to cause injury or pain to you. So I see people do this a lot, and this is a habit I have, holding my yarn with this pinky finger really tight like this. That is going to cause a problem after long term. Okay, so I have been trying to kind of train myself to tension my yarn around my pinky finger, and that way I can keep that hand nice and open and loose. It does require a little bit more effort on my part because I'm used to tensioning by holding with my pinky finger. Same with this hand too, okay? I, you have to be able to loosen it up. So loose, relaxed hands are really, really important. Otherwise, you're going to get hand cramps and all of that. Okay. Take frequent breaks, and we all think we're going to take breaks, but we don't take them. Okay, we just don't. We keep going and going and going and going. So, what you need to do, you tension with your pointer finger. Yeah, like this. I've seen people do it like this. And that when I see it, it hurts me just to see it, to look at it. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, some people do it like that. So experiment, because it is true, you have to find a way that's comfortable, but if your way that's comfortable is causing injury, then it's no good. I was talking about taking breaks. You must take breaks and stretch your hand every once in a while. I have triggers. I have triggers for putting my work down. Okay, and one of them is at the end of every round or row. Now with this project, one round takes an hour to do, so it's really not enough. But at the end of every round or row, set your work down, set it all the way down. Don't just stop and look at it and say, okay, I did it. Set your work. This is my motto. Lay it down and admire it. Okay? And that has multiple purposes. One of them is to give your hands a break, give your body a break, stop and take a sip of your coffee, go to the bathroom, whatever, and stretch your hands. Okay? Give your hands a break, stretch them out. And also take a look at it, and you might notice if something doesn't look right. Okay. It gives you a chance, because we have all been there where we were just in the flow with crocheting, and didn't notice that there's a mistake 8 rounds back. And we don't notice until we put it down, and then you have to pull it all out, and then you're really upset. Okay, so at the end of every row or round, this is my advice, lay your work down and admire it. Lay it down and admire it. Check it over, stretch your hands. Okay. Do your thing. Another thing about laying it down to admire it is, you know, we're doing this because we want to enjoy it. This crochet is meant to be enjoyable. Okay, I hear this all the time. When people are not enjoying my patterns, they say it's meant to be enjoyable. Your pattern's terrible and you're horrible. Anyways, feel good about it. Like, lay this down and look it over and be like, oh wow, like celebrate yourself, you know, like take a moment to celebrate yourself, celebrate your work, celebrate what you're doing, enjoy it, love on it, you know, give it all the good feelings and feel good about yourself. So that is another purpose of laying it down. I think I end up tensioning the yarn with my whole hand because it's, yes, that is probably the problem or part of it. And you're saying you're new, you're probably gripping, you're probably, you know, working tighter, your tension's probably really tight. All of us, I think our tension is really tight when we first start. And then over time you loosen up. Try a little bit larger hook. That might help you loosen up. Your work's not going to fall apart if it's not super tight. I see sometimes people want to like crochet the 6-day blanket really tight so these holes are smaller, like for babies and stuff, and it's like then they end up with hand pain because they're working the yarn with a really, really small hook. So make sure you're using the right yarn, and then get yourself an ergonomic hook. If you're not using an ergonomic hook, make sure you get yourself one. And don't do this BS that people do, putting tennis balls on their hook and all this other stuff. Like, just spend the money, get yourself a good ergonomic hook, and take care of your hands. What's with the Steely Dan song? What's that about? TikTok, Nisi. This says Teague, that's my son's name, and this says Maya, that's my daughter's name. Let me see, how am I doing? Well, I'm about halfway around. Hasn't been too bad. I'm getting there. I do feel like this round is taking longer than a normal round, but that's okay because it's the border. Sometimes when I'm doing the border, I'm like, oh, it's almost over. Oh. It would be great to finish this up tonight. I have like 3 blankets to photograph. Another thing I have been doing for my hands, mostly my right hand and arm are the ones that feel it, but I actually only have one of these infrared pads, infrared light uh, pads, and I put that around I kind of roll it up into a tube and I put my arm in that. I do 30 minutes of that a night after I do it when I do it in bed. I lay down in bed and I set it for 30 minutes and I do that. They also have the like mitts that you can put your hands in, just depending on where your pain is. I kind of wish I had gotten the mitts, but it's mostly like my wrist and arm up into my elbow where I will feel the stress if I have any stress. But I crochet a lot. I crochet every day. I sometimes crochet for hours a day, and I don't have a lot of problems. Posture is very important. I mean, one thing I'm really bad about is getting up out of my chair. Mostly because this chair squeaks really loud and I'm embarrassed on my videos when the chair starts to squeak. And also it has to be like, once I get set up here, like it has to be just right with all the stuff. Last week I asked about trigger finger and crochet hook hand. Oh, this hand. I took your advice and changed tension. Yeah. You have to loosen up and yeah, you have to relax your hands. It's very important. And I don't know if you were here before and you saw me using this. This might help too. This is a fascia tool, and it will, if the tissue is tight in that finger, it will help open it up, and it feels really good to use too. I'm guessing trigger finger would be down in here. I see this moving down here, so I would probably use this in here. You have to oil up your skin to use it. I use this lymphatic massage oil. I already have the oil in my store. My Shopify store, BettyMcKnitShop.com. So I'm gonna be adding all these things that I talk about on here to my store, so you all can ask your loved ones to buy them for you for the holidays, for gifts. But those are the things that I use. I do not use compression gloves. And personally, I think if you're in pain and you need compression gloves, you should probably not be crocheting in them. I know there are people with arthritis that are not able to crochet unless they're wearing them, so I support that, of course. But I don't think that if you're in pain, I don't think it's a good idea to just slap on some compression gloves and keep going. Hi, Angela May. This is the 6-day Supernova blanket. It's free on my website with a paid PDF option. BettyMcKnit.com, Supernova. I am, this is going to be like an adapted version of that pattern. You're welcome. So this one, I did a textured row and I'm doing a different edge on it. But I've actually, I've worked this entire blanket from, now I feel really proud to say this. I have worked this entire blanket from start to almost finish on live. And so it is on my, the replays are all on my YouTube channel. So you can follow along to make the whole thing along with me to see the adaptations that I did. This is my last, well, I'm on the border and I haven't decided if I'm going to do another round on here. I think I might. Yeah, I really recommend, it's a splurge, but I really recommend the pads, the infrared pads. It really helps if I have any kind of pain or soreness. I mean, I have been doing it whether I have pain or not at night when I go to bed. I just turn it on for half an hour and I put my hand in it and fall asleep with it on. It doesn't get hot, so you can't really feel it. You know, you can't feel it warming up or anything like that. I can feel the energy. It has, you know, you can feel the energy, but it doesn't get hot. But that has been really helpful. Just I've had that for a few months. I haven't brought it on alive. I should bring it on and show it to you all. And I think it's in my TikTok shop actually. Uh, and there's probably a way that I can add the actual product to the live, but I haven't figured out how to do any of that yet. Okay, I see the little, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 points to go after this one. Oh, I'm really just a little more than halfway. Stella says, I certainly don't need any more yarn, but I'm really liking those colors. I know I have 2 more in my cart, and I have 2 more of the Meowth and 2 more of the, oh, what is that other one called? It's the pink one. I have them in my cart. I started a Superstar with the pink one, and I only have 2 of them, so I'm thinking unless I get a third one of that, it's not going to be, it's going to be a baby blanket. It's not going to be that big. It's not going to be this big. You need 3 to make it this big. So, I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a baby blanket then. It will. Eh. It's back in stock now too, the yarns. They were not in stock for a while, so then that's another thing that it just nags at me. It's like, well, what if you're not going to be able to get any more of it? What are you going to do? And I haven't even done anything with the Meowth yet. It's just, it's just, I only have 2 of them. So I'm like, oh no, if I want to do a big blanket, I'm going to need another one. Oh, that looks bad. I don't know why I have to skip 3 in the valley every time. So it's just the way the numbers work out. And then it might be different, depending on how big or small you make yours. It's not going to be the same as mine unless you do the same number of repeats that I did. So I think everybody that doesn't do the exact same repeats is going to have to find their own way to fudge. You want to land in the center valley with the 333, and you want to land in the center single crochet in the peak. Hi, Melody. Thinking about all the things I have to do before I travel. You know how it is. You want the house to be all cleaned up, and I don't want to leave any dishes in the dishwasher or any messes in the sink. Take out all my garbage. Try to remember everything I need to take with me. I did my laundry already. It's very unlike me. I'm usually the night before doing the laundry. Which is very unlike me. I'm getting tired. How many blankets do you think you've made this year? Oh, it's a good question. Uh, I made, well, I have 3 star blankets in the other room. I made 2 of them on lives in September, and then I made a third one because I was doing the stash bust thing, and I had so much of the yarn left over. I went and I had bought all these Ogos to make a blanket for my friend to match her wallpaper. So I did some of those on lives, and I had enough of the wallpaper yarn left to make her a second blanket. So at first I did it because I'll just be honest, I didn't think I liked the first one I did. I was like, this is ugly. I don't like it. And then, as it turned out, I liked it and it was totally fine. I just needed to set it down, but I had started a second one, so I ended up making her two. I'm like, I'm just going to give her both of these. And so I did those two, and I did a third star blanket on a star. And then this one that I'm working on right here, so that's 4. And then I did a baby blanket for that same lady for her daughter. That's 5. And let me see. I did the beach house blanket. That's 6. I did like 3 baby blankets. So that's 9. I did 2 shawls. Does that count? I did this gigantic scarf that I haven't published yet. I've just been sitting on that for like almost a year. It feels like about everything I did, actually. The intention with the baby blankets was to reset some of my baby blanket patterns that I have done up in Nurturing Fibers. I wanted to redo in Stylecraft. And I never got around to doing that, but I did make 3 new baby blanket patterns. But I'll put that on the list for next year to, I'm going to be going through more of my patterns and reworking them and editing them and making them better. Oh, and I made this blanket behind me for my daughter. That's 10. I haven't given it to her yet. It was for her birthday. And I went up to see her for her birthday, and I wasn't done. I hadn't completed it. So I gave it to her like wrapped up in a gift, and then I was like, you have to give it back so I can finish it. And I haven't seen her since then, but I didn't want to ship it to her because she's been having things stolen from her mail. They've had packages stolen, so I was like, no way. I am not sending that and having it stolen. So look what I started doing. There. No, that's not right. See, I could 6-day kid blanket in my sleep, and that's what happened. I started thinking about something else, and I went into 6-day kid blanket mode, and I just went on autopilot, and I started making 3 double crochet clusters going down the side instead of 3 3 3. Time for bed, Betty. Time for bed. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being here, Nancy. Appreciate you and your questions and everything you bring to the community. Nancy, I think you'd really like the membership. It's BettyMcKnitiverse.com. How am I doing? Still have quite a ways to go. This is how much yarn is left. Plenty. How many blankets have other people made this year? I made more than I realized. I think I'm forgetting some that I might have done in the beginning of the year too. Yeah, your comment. I was wondering where you were. Your comment is delayed. I was like, I'm surprised Stella didn't catch that. I don't think I said that out loud. But I'm like, usually she catches me doing stuff like that. I'm technically on my second whip blanket. The second one is your lovely 6-day star blanket. Nice. How's it going for you? They work up quick. Unless you do the whole thing on a live. I've noticed a lot of TikTokers seem like they don't want to do blankets. They have a thing against making blankets. Pat says they made about 10. Yep. It's going really well. I was nervous I'd be too complicated, but your pattern is very comfortable. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, and there's tons of help available too. So you got this. It looks much more scary than it really is. Made 3 and 3 in the works. Should be finished by all 3 by the end of the month. Nice. That's in 2 days, you realize. She's like, oh, I'm keeping up with you on the lives, but meanwhile, you probably have like another whole blanket you haven't even shown me. And here I am like thinking I'm going fast. I think I remember you did start a second one. So how many of these Ridgy Didge Supernovas have you done? Plus 2 scarves and 2 shawls. Nice. My TikTok is doing something. Hi, Exclusive Essence. Welcome back. I use the Furls Odyssey hooks, but they discontinued them. They had their last restock the other day, so they are only available through like trading or secondary market. Pat says she made 12 blankets. I was like, I know Pat did more blankets than I did. It really is. I mean, I think that their other hooks are good also, but I don't really prefer the stream. I've tried the streamline that they have, and it is not weighted. This hook is weighted, so it's actually pretty heavy, and it just makes it really easy to crochet for a long period of time. Makes it really easy for me to relax my hand, which seems like the opposite of what you would think. Oh, it's heavy, I have to hang on to it, but I don't know. When I first got it, I would say it reminded me of when I was a little girl and I wanted to twirl baton, and I had one of those plastic batons from the dollar store or wherever that you just buy at the store, the toy ones. And I couldn't do anything with it, like trying to do all the tricks, and it's really hard to do stuff, anything with it. And then I went and got measured for my own, custom baton and the right size. And they weighed it with the large rubber ball on one end and the small one on the other. It's weighted. And it's like, oh, wow, like you can do, like you can do so much more with it because of the weight of it. It's easier to handle than the plastic one. So that's what it reminded me of when I first tried it. And I was determined not to like it because I thought first of all, $40 for a crochet hook, $35 or however much they were charging for them. When they first came out, I'm like, $30 for a crochet hook? You got to be kidding me. And I fell in love with them, and they really helped me, especially through the pandemic when my business just kind of took off. And it just, for me, this is what I do for, a living, more or less. So I have to protect my body. So for me, it's worth it. And when I felt what they feel like, I was like, there was no going back, no going back. I still have all my old hooks, but I don't use them that much. When I find myself using them is like when someone comes over and they're like, "Will you show me how to crochet?" Then I will get out my old hooks and be like, I have all these extra hooks. I just give them a hook. Um, but never one of my furls. If they like, my sister kind of got more, she was already a crocheter, but she started coming to visit me and she would bring her crochet. And then she joined my community and she started getting more serious about using crochet to relax at the end of the day. And so when she came to she holds her hook like this. I'm so jealous about that because I think it's prettier. But so when she came, I let her try. I was like, try my Odysseys, and she did not like it. But they're not really meant for the pencil hold. They're more for overhand grip. I think their streamlines are better for people with the underhand grip. I've tried holding that way. It does not work for me. I hold my hook like you. Yeah, I feel like it's ugly, like I feel like if this were like a spoon or something, I'd be like, like that's what I feel like. Like I would never hold my fork or spoon like this, would it, or maybe I do. I don't really know. But it feels like I just feel so unrefined. Um but I have heard, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, that this is actually, these are the people that have the wrist problems and have more, more pain. Those of us that hold like this don't have that many problems. And so I think that this, like, I use my fingers and I roll my hook in my fingers to minimize this kind of movement. And I don't know if you can really do that as well, like this. Like, I don't know if that's the reason, but to me, that feels like one way that I minimize my extra movement, hand movement, is by using my fingers. And this helps me do that. And I also feel like that's a way to go faster. Having your hands nice and loose, and then using this rolling action rather than, doing like a lot of, I mean, obviously I'm still scooping, but rather than like having everything be in the wrist. Anyway, those are my tips. But I love my furls when they had their last restock, and I didn't know they were restocking another time. I thought they were done. That was it. It was over. No more furls. And they announced it in August that they weren't. They've been having supply chain issues for a while. And so they would restock and they would sell out like in such a short period of time. and they would be sold out all the time. So I stopped recommending them because I was like, people are like, all the hooks are sold out, you know, they're sold out, they're sold out, they're sold out. So I was like, well, I'm just not going to recommend them anymore because they're sold out all the time. They're having problems. I'll just wait until they, you know, until they solve these issues. And then they announced in August that they were not going to be making the Odysseys anymore. And I thought that was it. I didn't know they were going to restock anymore. And I'm an affiliate with them, so I get their, you know, I get their emails, and like, I don't know, Monday or something, Friday, I don't remember, but it's maybe 2 days before they did their final restock, we got an email. There may have been more emails and I just missed it, but I was aware that it was going to be their last restock, so I did make a point to get online and get there right when it started, and I stocked up on my favorite sizes of hooks. I keep losing them. I keep putting my hooks in with my projects and then I lose track of them. So I was like, I'm just going to get like 4 in each of my favorite sizes. And so I did that. My most used sizes are H, I, and J. So I got 4 of each of those sizes. And I used a coupon and everything, and I still was a lot of money. And then I went back, and because they sent me I had a credit, and they sent me an addition, which it wouldn't let me use on my first order. And then they sent me, no, I was not playing. You're right. I was sitting there. This is how much I was not playing. I was, for one thing, I set an alarm. Okay. Alexa, remind me at, 10:50. And I logged in and signed into my account the night before. So I had it all set up and ready to go. And then I had a reminder. So at 10 minutes before it was supposed to go live, I came in here and I made sure I was all signed in and ready to go. And I started refreshing the page. And wouldn't you know it, about 5 or 6 minutes before it was supposed to go live, it went live. So I was there early and it started early. And so I didn't even look at, like, I wasn't even picky about the colors. I was like, I don't care what colors. I don't need the purple and pretty colors. I just got like more of the same colors that I already have. And my favorite colors, the green, and I don't even remember what I got, to be honest. I was just like, I'm gonna get these 4, put them in my cart, and I'm not gonna be picky. I'm gonna get these 4, and um, you know, that's it. It's it is what it is. And so I had heard these stories about people like putting things in their cart, but then by the time they go to check out, it's already gone. So I was just like, boom, 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 buy it, figure it out, buy it. And I just bought them. And then I got the email that said, here's another credit from us. And I had that credit in my cart, but for whatever reason, it didn't go through on the first order. So I went over on my laptop and I did it from another device, and I bought like 3 more hooks and I used that credit. And by the time I did the second order, the colors were, they were starting to sell out. So I think I got some different sizes. That time I got like a couple of Ks or something. I don't even remember, because I was just like, just get what you need, and get it quick. And so I did that. There's a Facebook group, Buy Sell Trade Furls. crochet hooks. And then I saw, excuse me, I saw my friend Alea, Cozy Crochet Co. She bought one on Poshmark. And I would be checking for them on, eBay and Poshmark and places like that, and the resale group on Facebook. When they come up, they go real quick. So yeah, I think I went back later in the day to see, like, is there anything left, and but I did not place a third order. And I did have one of my followers said that they had stuff in their cart, and they went and took a phone call or something and looked away for a second and came back, and that was it. They weren't able to get anything. So I was really lucky, and no, I was not playing. And I did not even post it on, like, I did not even post it, not even to my membership community and my followers, until I knew I had what I needed. Like, that's how selfish I was. It's like, I'm going to get mine first, and then I'll tell everybody about this. But yeah, and they had said, make sure that the sale is live before you do it. So yeah, I know a few people, because I saw the affiliate orders. A few people got themselves a couple of hooks, but that's it. They said they're going to come out with an alternative, and I think they have some kind of metal hook that they're working on. But I think I'm good for now. I'm good for now. If I have to, I will. I'll develop my own hook. But there are other people doing ergonomic hooks. This one just happens to be the one I really like the most. I see people using these. I think they're called Big Boy, and I sometimes get tagged instead of this person because her name is Bethy Crocker. So I think it's people, because I'm Betty McKnit, and and my real name is Beth. I think sometimes people get confuse us. But her name is Bethy Crocker, and she makes these hooks called Big Boy. So I see people using those, but I've never tried them. So I don't like to recommend things that I haven't tried and that I know are, like, worth. I mean, it's one thing when you're recommending, like, I don't know, a kitchen gadget or something like that. But when you're talking about an ergonomic something that is, impacts people's bodies, I just feel like I don't want to give advice unless I know and I've used it, and I feel like I know what I'm talking about with it. Okay, hopefully I didn't get distracted and go back to. I'm almost there, folks. You had to get what you needed first. Yes, I had to get what I needed first, but I was selfish. I was selfish. I could have let my people know. I could have let them know, really. But I was so selfish that day. Amanda says one more supernova and a Thule mosaic blanket. Cool. So I think I have plenty of yarn to go around one more time on this edge. What do y'all think? Should I do the lovey edge? I could do one more round around these points. This round took a really long time though. Let's see. I've been on here for almost 3 hours, so I think that took me close to 2 hours to do that round. So I don't know if I'll stay on here and do it tonight if I do decide to do it. But let me dig out the lovey and see what I did. I mean, this is what I did on the Superstar baby blanket that I did, and I did it on I did it in one of my Zoom calls, and I finished it up on the call, and I was like, what do y'all ladies think of this? Should I do another round? And they were like, no, just leave it just like that, it's fine. But this, to me, on this one, it does feel a tiny bit unfinished. I don't know. What do you think? Of course, YouTube can't see anything because the camera went out again. Okay, that didn't work. All right. I'm going to finish up this round off camera. I'm off camera on YouTube. Just give it a couple minutes, and then I think I'm going to finish up the live, and I don't know if I'm going to do another round or not. On one hand, it would feel really good to get this done, but on the other hand, I'd love to use up a little bit more of the yarn and not leave myself with, you know, so much yarn left and feeling like, oh, maybe I could have done another repeat. I don't think I could have gotten another repeat and a border out of this. Skein. There it goes. All right. Okay, and then when you get to the end here, you just, how did I do it? I think I just slip stitched. Yep, you just slip stitch into the chain 3 at the beginning of the round. That's right. Okay, I'm not going to fasten it off yet until I make a decision about the edge. I think it's a really pretty edge for this. Actually, I really like the little peaks. And maybe it doesn't really need much else. I don't know. I'll have to sleep on it because there's this much yarn left. All right, I guess let me know what you think. I'm going to sign off for tonight, and I'll come back either way and let y'all know what I decided. If I decided to do another round, you'll see me working another round. If not, I'll come back and say I decided to finish it off. All right, have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, and I'll see you soon. Bye.